roundtable discussion, we're talking about something very important that affects everybody: fire. We're talking about fire. Now, lately it feels like we hear about a new fire outbreak every other week. I mean, from markets to malls. The most recent one was the Kumasi China Mall. We hear about warehouses to offices. I mean, a lot of fire outbreaks. And every time people lose everything they work for, they work so hard for. And it's painful to watch, especially knowing that a lot of these losses could have been prevented or at least even reduced. Now, the truth is that we can't always stop a fire from happening. That is a reality. But we can actually control how much damage it leaves behind. And it's about being prepared. And when I say that, not just with fire extinguishers and alarms, but also with the right insurance and financial safety nets. So this morning we're talking about what we have titled "When Fire Comes: The Key Measures to Actually Prevent and Reduce Financial Loss." And I've been joined by two individuals. I have a rep from the Ghana National Fire Service. He's a head of PR. His name is DO2 Desmond Aka. And he joins me now. And also Danny Anderson. He is an insurance professional. He's a CIIG 2023 Young Insurance Professional of the Year. I hope not, 2024 Young Insurance Professional of the Year 2024 for CIIG. CIIG means Chartered Insurance Institute of Ghana. And these are the two individuals I'm going to have this conversation with this morning. Gentlemen, good morning. Hello.
Good morning.
Okay,
Good morning.
Right, I'm getting some feedback. We will check that and then we can continue the conversation. But let me also, who just spoke? Was
Danny.
that Danny? Okay, all right. I think it's better now. Danny, good morning. How are you?
I believe you are fine.
Yeah, I'm doing very well too, by God's grace. DO2, that's my Aka. Good morning.
Good morning, and thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for making time this morning to join us as well. All right, very important conversation this morning, and I would want us to get into it right away. Now, we've seen several fire outbreaks this year. I mean, from markets to malls and even offices, like I was saying a while ago. Maybe, first of all, what's your general reaction to this trend? Are we seeing an increase or just some better reporting? And I'll start with you, DO2 Aka.
Well, so let me say a very good morning to your cherished listeners and viewers as well. If you look at the trend that we are having, there has been a marginal increase in terms of fire outbreaks across the length and breadth of Ghana. It cuts across from domestic to commercial to what we experience in our natural vegetation to our industries as well as our institutions. If you look at these fire, domestic fire continues to top the ranking of the various types of fires that we record. But we are also experiencing quite a number of commercial fires, and for which we are losing some of our markets, our malls, and some other shopping centers due to the recent fires that we are experiencing. But you would realize that in as much as we have tried over the period to do a lot more awareness creation, these fires continue to happen.
Yeah.
And anytime they happen, people tend to lose most of their property, even to the point of losing some lives. So it behooves on all of us as a country, as individuals, as business owners, as regulators to ensure that we reduce these trends, or we try to put in measures to be able to reduce this high numbers of fires that we are recording in recent times. And it behoves on everybody to come on board so that we can do our best to reverse this trend, if possibly reduce the impact and the losses that these fires come with.
Right, but from what we are seeing, would you say that we are making some headway, or it's getting worse?
Well, I wouldn't say it is getting worse, because had it not been an intervention, a lot more damage would have been caused. If you look at the available statistics, if you look at the properties that we have saved over the period, it far outweighs the ones that have gone down the drain by the fire. And because of our intensive efforts in creating a lot of awareness out there, about a little over 30% of these fires, even before we get there, are very much extinguished by the people themselves. And it gives us the hope that when we even intensify our efforts, we could achieve more than these 30% that we are recording. It tells us that at least a section of the public have adhered to our basic fire safety messages that we've been churning out there. And if with the right support, the logistics, and all the things that is required to do an intensive campaign, I believe that we'll be able to do much more. So I wouldn't say it is all gloomy. It is just that some people are just being not so conscious about their safety, and they are not paying too much attention to the fact that they have a responsibility of even safeguarding their wares. People have become so complacent. It's not that they don't know what they are supposed to do. They know what exactly to do, but they are simply failing to put in place adequate safety measure. And people normally think that the fire is too far away from them, and therefore they are sort of immune to the fire until their properties are gutted and they see reality that fire is no joke, and therefore they would have to put in place adequate safety measure. So be as it may, I think we also have to do a lot more enforcement, because for us, it has dawned on us that for over 60 years, we have done a lot more of the awareness creation. And as Ghanaian as we are, sometimes we become recalcitrant, knowing what we are supposed to, we don't do. So if we are able to do a lot more enforcement, not just fire service, but all other stakeholders, when we all combine our forces and do a lot more enforcement, it will go a long way to ensure that people do the right thing. They don't kind of overload their electrical circuits. They don't become negligent even after business hours. They don't turn a blind eye into kind of providing adequate safety measures for their space or their property.
I see, but for the sake of context, I actually wanted you to maybe speak to the numbers. I don't know if you have the numbers, which I believe you should, but I wanted to look at the numbers compared to maybe, this year, the number of fire outbreaks we've seen or we've heard of in our markets and our malls, the big places, compared to last year or maybe previous years. Are you able to speak to that?
Well, I don't have the exact figures, but what I can say is that for the first 3 quarters of this year, as compared to the same period last year, we have recorded a little over 4,000. The figures are almost similar. The fires have gone up just over 0.3% or so. So it's very, very minimal if you compare to what we recorded last year. Like I said, more than 30% of these fires were extinguished by the people themselves. It tells us that there is hope. With the requisite logistics and intensified efforts, we should be able to achieve more than 50% maybe in the coming months.
Right, but
it tells us that people are willing to adapt or to make changes in their behaviors to bring this fire trend, the negative fire trend, down. Minimize the impact that it caused on their waste. And then also, if you look at the amount of property salvage, it runs into 300 million as compared to 100 and a little over, let's say, 100 million in terms of damage. And the issue is that most often than not, we are called in late when the fire had already spread, and it has actually caused a lot more damage.
I see.
So it becomes very difficult for us to reduce the impact of this. But if you compare the that we have attended and we have been able to save, the properties that we have been able to save, as against those that have gone down the drains by the fire, you would realize that the Ghana National Fire Service has done creditably well in terms of saving properties. And I believe that when a lot more attention is given to the fire service, when MMDAs prioritize setting up fire stations with functional fire tenders closer to the communities, it will go a long way to also reduce our response time, and then how we also kind of respond to manage some of these fires.
I see, but can you share what the most common causes of these fire outbreaks are?
Well, so if you look at the causes of fires, you would realize that in terms of ranking, the first commonest cause of fire in this part of our world, or in our country, is electrical fault. Electrical fault comes in varying forms. Like we have arc faults, when there is a break in a conductor,
right,
or there's no continuous flow of electricity. So that is very much worrying us in terms of as part of one of the electrical faults. And then also people tend to overload their electrical circuit for a particular, let's say, circuit which is supposed to take a certain amperage or current. They tend to overload a particular extension board, for instance, with so many gadgets that tend to draw more power than what the source can provide, and it leads to some of these fires. And then also people tend to use substandard wires in doing their electrical installation, and this has really caused more harm than good. Again, in our market setting, in our commercial centers, especially the unplanned ones where projection is very much rife, you would realize that a lot of people engage the services of amateur electrician. They do a lot of illegal wiring connection, and this has an issue, or it creates a lot of problems in the wiring system. And then also, you go to a lot of these markets, they are not supposed to cook, but people hide. People cook in these markets. Sometimes they cook around midnight. They fry and do all manner of cooking with gas and with open flames, like charcoal and what have you.
Yeah.
And these kind of cooking, sometimes they do not put off their fires completely, even before leaving the place. And you know, embers, they have a way of moving from one place to the other. And if we are not fortunate and they get into contact with any combustible or flammable material, it starts the fire even at the blind side of the occupant, and it has led to some of these fires. Unattended cooking. People tend to do a lot of cooking. Maybe they are distracted, or they have to move from one place to the other to go and get something, and they tend to forget before they realize the whole place is on fire. People cook with gas, which are leaking. Their regulators have problems. Instead of them to send it to the refilling point to get them work done, they turn a blind eye, put some heavy objects, stones, and what have you on them, thinking that they have resolved the issue. And the lead gas will get into contact with an open flame or naked fire, and then it leads to some of these fires. And sometimes, because some of these markets are overcrowded, they have waste disposal challenges. They don't have a centralized point where they collect all their refuse and then go and dump them. And because some of these places are made up of wooden and metal containers, and these things are also highly combustible. So at the close of work, they tend to gather all the waste or the rubbish that they've made, and then tend to burn them closer to their wooden shops or metal containers. Sometimes even in the process of burning, they leave it and then go home without ensuring that the fires that they have set, the refuse that they are burning, is completely doused. And then in the wee hours of the night, it turns into a big thing and then destroys not only their property, but other properties. Sometimes, where most of these shop owners or commercial place facility managers, they tend to do what we call proper maintenance. Sometimes their machinery, their generator, or any other equipment get faulty, and instead of them to look for competent, qualified people to come and work on them, they fail to do that. And these equipment tend to overwork and become overheated, and then create these fire conditions, and then it comes to affect more people than anticipated. So if you are asking me about the causes of fire,
These are
these
some of
are
them.
some of the causes of fire that we have seen over
Right.
the years. Sometimes this one we have not actually investigated, but sometimes people speculate that because people have gone into contracted some loans, and they are supposed to pay and all that, they find ways and means to create fires to destroy their wares, so that they can kind of be pardoned with the money that they have taken and probably be considered another one or something. Other times too, people deliberately set fires on their wares because of insurance purposes. So that, but these are all speculations that have come to our attention, but our investigations have not pointed out to some of those things. But we are praying that maybe one of these days we should be able to get corporates in that arena, so that we can bring such people to book. Why would you burn your property because you've gone for loan, or you want insurance and therefore you want to burn your shop or your space or your house just to benefit from insurance? These are some of the issues that
Okay. I mean, with the speculations, I would have loved us to go into it, but because of our time, I'm going to come back to you shortly, DO2 Aka. But let me turn to you, Danny Anderson. Now, Danny, you are an insurance person, and so from a financial point of view, what are the usual consequences for businesses and individuals when such fires occur?
Okay, thank you very much, and good morning to your cherished listeners. Um, for a business, one of the important or vital tool for them when it comes to recovery after a disaster is insurance. And in fact, if there's a fire outbreak, it goes beyond the financial loss, because every fire story, it comes with emotional loss as well. You destroy livelihoods, employees are unable to work, and businesses struggle to restart. So for us as the insurance industry, we've paid huge claims when it comes to fire incidents. And then the last report that was published by the NIC, the total claims that we paid was 1.9 billion cedis, which fire claims were part of it. And even the Kantamanto incidents, I'm aware an insurance company paid over 8 million Ghana cedis just to help these guys recover their businesses. So while we focus on a lot of fire prevention, it is rightly so. We need to ask the important question: when fire comes, how do businesses stand up? And that is when insurance becomes, a lifeline and not a luxury to these businesses. So I would say insurance basically it's a safety net that makes sure whatever money or investment you've put into your business, whether as a startup business, whether as an entrepreneur, the provision shop owner, you need to consider insurance. That's the first thing you need to consider. Because once you collapse, the recovery process is devastated. It's even more frustrating than the incident itself.
I see. From my checks, I see that most businesses do not have any fire insurance. Why do you think that's so?
Well, I think there are several misconceptions when it comes to insurance in general, not just fire insurance for businesses. They claim insurance is expensive, insurance companies do not pay claims, nothing will happen. They'll say we've been in business for 10 years, nothing will happen. But in Ghana today, you can build a business for 10 years, and one fire incident can finish your whole investment, can take everything, out. And that is where insurance comes in, to make sure that your business doesn't end when there's a fire outbreak. It gives you money or compensation to start again. And this time around, you even start it quickly. So without the right insurance, I believe businesses will suffer. And then again, the regulator, which is the National Insurance Commission, one of the compulsory insurance policies is fire for all commercial buildings. So I'm aware the NIC, in collaboration with Ghana National Fire Service, the Ghana Police, they are enforcing this regulation to make sure that all commercial buildings in the country have fire insurance, because you are not just protecting your business, you're also protecting other livelihoods. So the misconception that insurance is expensive. Right now, insurance companies have even developed simplified products for small shops. So if you're a cosmetic shop, you sell at Cantamanto, you have a supermarket, a mall, a restaurant. Insurance companies have now developed simplified products. And I can tell you for a fact, with as low as 50 Ghana cedis, you can purchase insurance cover, fire insurance cover for your shop, your restaurant, whatever business you've set up. With as low as 50 cedis, you can purchase it. And people think insurance is expensive, but what is more expensive is losing everything without having nothing to fall on. So I'll urge all business owners to consider insurance. In fact, that should be the first thing they think about when they want to start any business or they have an existing business going on. Thank you.
Right. So, I realized that with the regulation bits, you were being a bit, you were being a bit careful with that one. But of course, you said that one of the challenges is a misconception. We're going to talk about those things very soon. But let me announce the phone lines, just in case somebody wants to join the conversation. Please, if you're tuned in, this is Business Breakfast on Z101.9 FM with me, Nitrebi Hammond. We're streaming live on Facebook at ZFMGH and also on YouTube. And this morning we're talking about fire and the key measures to prevent or reduce the financial loss associated with that. If you want to join the conversation, please feel free to drop a comment under any of our live streams and we'll read them for you. We're also on WhatsApp. You can send us a WhatsApp, whether it's a voice note or a text. Feel free to do that on 0544321019, 0544321019, and I'll read your messages for you. You can as well call me on 03039 56641, 03039 and then I give you the opportunity to share your thoughts with us this morning. All right, so Danny, please hold on for me. Let me come back to you due to Aka. Let's talk about prevention a bit, and we're going to stay a bit longer on this one, and then we come to insurance and we try to wrap up. Now, let's talk about prevention. What are some of the simple but effective fire safety measures every shop or office should have in place? Dio Tuwaka.
Well, so if we want to consider prevention, then it's important that we look at the causes of some of these fires and how to prevent them. So, for instance, the electrical fault that I earlier on alluded to, we can do that by simply switching off our gadgets when we are not using them. And then also, we should avoid illegal wiring connection, especially in our commercial centers where that phenomenon is rife. And then we should also avoid using inferior wiring or wires in doing our wiring connections or installations. And anytime we want to do any electrical works, we should look for competent, qualified individuals that can actually do the work without compromising standards, so that we wouldn't have the fires happening in our shops and our other facilities.
Right.
Again, we can also ensure that we do what we call segregation of waste. That has really caused us a lot of these damages that we experience in these fires at the various commercial centers. People tend to sell all manner of things in one shop. And you know, the fire engineering science also tells us that it is not every other good that you can keep together. Some goods require that you allow some space in between them so that there is adequate ventilation around them to prevent what we call spontaneous ignition. But you go to some of these commercial centers, they would just, especially now that we are to celebrate Christmas, they have stockpiled their warehouses and their shops to their fullest, and therefore there is little or no space for these items to have air around them, and this is a recipe for spontaneous ignition. It's not every fire that you have to introduce external source of heat before fire will start, and therefore this is one of the reasons why we are collaborating with working with these facility managers, especially warehouse managers, to be able to nip this thing in the bud. Again, we should also ensure that we promote good housekeeping. Good housekeeping basically is about arrangement of fuels in a particular space. So once you arrange the fuels well, you ensure the place is not full of cobwebs and other things that will spread fires quickly. Then that you are doing yourself a good service, and then you also ensure that those combustibles and flammables are not packed closer to heat sources.
Right.
Very, very important. Once you do that, it helps. And then if every shop is able to keep a functional fire extinguisher in his or her shop and knows how to effectively operate that extinguisher, it goes a long way, because most of these fires, like I alluded to earlier.
Hello. All right. I think we lost him there. Apologies for that. Can you hear me, Danny? Are you with us?
Yes, I am here.
Okay. All right. Then I'm sure it's DO2's network. Anyway, yeah. So he was trying to give us some of the simple and effective safety measures that we can put in place. And he says, okay, I think we have him back. Hello, DO2 Aka.
We know.
Hello. Sorry, so we lost you for a few minutes. Yes.
If the shop owners have fire extinguishers and they know how to effectively operate them, it goes a long way to help in mitigating the impact of these fires. They're able to deal with the fire as soon as they occur. And then also, if they also give us a lot of listening ear, most often than not, since January this year, when we started experience a lot of these market fires, we went into the various commercial centers to ask the managers to give us space so that we can bring some of our people there to constantly engage and then ensure that they put in place adequate safety measure. Most of the markets have been able to do, except a few of these markets which have not been able to give us a space there. So once they collaborate with us, and then the shop owners and then all the stakeholders within that space collaborate, and then we take them through some form of drills and education, it goes a long way to prevent some of these.
Hello. All right, I think we lost him again. Hopefully, okay.
Regular inspections, fire safety audits, and all that. Once we do them and we present them to the facility managers, at least it behoves on them to implement the recommendation. Once they implement these recommendations.
Hello. All right, I think we're struggling to maintain a good connection with DO2 Aka. But there's still some more things I would have loved him to talk about. Hopefully, we can get him back on the line, and then we continue the conversation. Dio Tuaka, are you with us? Hello. All right. So let me turn to you now, Danny. Just what I mean, so we can have a brief conversation before when he comes back. I can continue the prevention talk with him. Now, from an insurance perspective, how does the fire insurance actually work? What does it cover and what doesn't it cover?
Okay, so as you mentioned, fire. We all know what fire is, and for the insurance, we are looking at in the event of a fire outbreak where your goods, your stock at the warehouse or the building itself collapses as a result of fire outbreak, the insurance company then comes in to compensate you to enable you replace whatever stock got damaged as a result of the fire. And the fire is not just a standalone. We have fire and allied perils. So when I talk about allied perils, we are looking at floods, explosions. We are looking at external forces which could impact on whatever asset you have. So basically, if fire burns the shop, insurance comes in, we request for certain documentations, and then we pay straight away. There are other types of insurance businesses shop owners or business owners can take. So the fire insurance, which is the key one in there, we have the public liability insurance as well. So let's say the incident that happened at Kumasi, the China Mall incident.
Yeah.
So there was a fire outbreak, destroyed the building. In the event that the fire also destroyed other people's property around, the public liability policy comes in to compensate these people. So the public liability is looking at property damage and also bodily injury or death. So should a customer or just a third party who happens to be around the building during the fire outbreak get injured as a result of it, this policy comes in to compensate these people as well. And there's also a to protect the staff of these business owners. So as a business owner, you need to be very concerned about the employees' welfare, especially whilst on the job. So should any event occur which injures them, any work-related injury, this policy comes in to ensure that the employee is compensated adequately. And we have what we call assets or risks. So that is a comprehensive policy. So it covers any kind of risks that businesses are exposed to. So if you're a startup company, a mall owner, a restaurant owner, any risks at all that you are exposed to, this policy provides a comprehensive cover for it. So it's covering your equipment, your stock, your employees. It goes to even cover the income which you would have lost during the fire outbreak. So let's say if you're out of business for 3 months during your recovery process after a fire outbreak, this policy covers the income that you would have earned during this period. You get it? Yes. And we have several commercial policies, which I would limit it to just these 4 that I've mentioned so that we can move on with this conversation.
Right. So there are several different types of them. And early on, you were talking about even 50 cities being able to take care of this. All the things that you've mentioned, I doubt 50 cities will be able to do them. Can you break that down a bit for us so that we can understand?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. So when I say with as low as 50 cities, what it means is that the provision shop owner in my community whose goods probably worth 3,000 or 5,000 cedis can take insurance with as low as 50 Ghana cedis. So, of course, if you are looking at the large businesses, because their values or the sums insured involved are very huge, they might end up not paying the 50 cedis I mentioned. but I'm just giving you the minimum that with as low as 50 Ghana cedis, the shop owner at Kantamanto, whose goods is worth, let's say, 5,000 or 10,000, can take insurance to cover incident of fire or burglary. Should thieves break into the shop, they can have something to fall on.
I see. So there are specifics, isn't it?
Yes,
But
and
what exactly goes?
insurance companies,
Say again.
as I mentioned earlier, insurance companies currently have simplified products, a bundled product for these people,
Right.
tailored to the informal sector and then the SME market. So when you're buying insurance now, like a shop owner, you can just go in for a bundled product where it covers fire and burglary, because
Okay.
that is the risks most of these businesses face on a daily basis.
I see. But what exactly goes into how much people are supposed to contribute over, I mean, a monthly or so?
Okay, there's a basic rate
Okay.
which we apply to the value of your stock or property.
All right.
Want to do insurance, I would use the rate of 0.25 because that is what the regulator has put out there, as the basic rate to take a fire insurance policy. So if your property is valued at 5,000, you can easily apply a basic rate of 0.25%, and then you determine how much you'll be paying for insurance.
And the payment is done monthly.
So they are flexible payments.
Right.
General insurance is usually done on annual basis and renewable every year. However, most insurance companies have flexible plans. You can decide to pay quarterly, pay monthly, pay biannually. So you can talk to your insurance brokers or walk into any of the insurance companies for assistance.
Okay. I see. Now, you were talking early on about the fact that many people say insurance companies don't pay claims. I mean, I have heard those things a lot of times, but why do you think that particular misconception, as you put it, is there?
Okay, so the misconception about insurance don't pay claims is usually stems from the fact that people do not really understand what they purchase. That can be part of it. So, for instance, somebody purchased a fire and burglary policy, and this perils or the cost, which is fire and burglary, has been named on the policy. Now there's incident of flood, and the person comes to the insurance company and says, I want to claim for flood. Meanwhile, the policy that was purchased was fire and burglary. So in this case, such a person would say, oh, insurance companies doesn't want to pay claims, which is not so. Insurance companies exist to pay claims, legitimate claims, and we do that on time because we understand that businesses should be able to recover quickly. So there's a whole misunderstanding of the policies which insurance companies issue to individuals. People must take their time to read and understand and ask all the questions that this policy, which events is it going to cover? When it happens, what should I do? What documents would you need? Ask all the questions at the time of purchasing any insurance for your business.
Right.
Make sure you are satisfied with the claims process. How simplified is the claims process should a fire incident or a theft incident occur? So I believe we need to continue educating the public, and also, as DOT mentioned, people try to take advantage of insurance. It is real. It is not speculation. From where I sit and from where the industry are working, it is very real. People take advantage of insurance. People intentionally, create claims which are not legitimate So sometimes you may have such people trying to take advantage of the insurance companies, and because of the processes they have been taken through, they tend to back out and then say, "Oh, insurance companies doesn't want to pay the claim." Meanwhile, it is not a legitimate claim which should have been paid.
Well, what typically goes into the claims? How is it done?
So, claim basically is, let's say, the process of getting your money or compensation from the insurance company. So, if there's a fire incident, one of the key requirements which we request for is the fire report, because we would want to know the cause of the incident. So that is a very key requirement. Aside that, documentation is very important.
Sorry, not to cut you. Where do they get that from? From the fire service?
From the fire service, yes.
Okay. Sorry, hold on for me. I hear DO2 Aka has joined back. DO2, are you with us now? Hello, DO2 Aka. Hello? Okay. All right. Let's continue. So continue the conversation, Danny.
So as I was saying, the key document, which is the fire report, comes from the Ghana National Fire Service to help us validate, the claim that you want to make. And secondly, documentation is very key because, if you want to claim from the insurance company, you need to be able to prove that these items that you want to claim for existed before the loss. So the shop owner tried to keep inventory, try to keep receipts of any purchases you make. You can even keep sales invoices when you receive goods from the warehouse. Try to document all these steps because it helps reduce or avoid disputes when making a claim. So the key documents I've mentioned: fire report, purchase receipt, pictures to validate the claim. You can even take videos of the incident. Insurance companies have made claims very simple and convenient these days. So you need to make sure you are speaking to the right person, which is the insurance brokers or the insurance companies directly, to make sure your claims is paid on time.
But the people who actually, people who say that insurance companies don't pay their claims, they actually have a different view. Some people also think that is very cumbersome, and that's why I wanted to bring DO2 into the conversation. I understand he's joined us now. DO2, are you with us now? Hello, DO2 Aka.
Yes, I'm with you, please.
Okay, all right. So, so I understand that one of the things that we need for claims, people need for claims, is the fire report. How difficult is it to get that?
Okay, so the fire report is not very difficult to get. Every fire, we say, has an owner. And after every fire, the incident is investigated and report generated. Sometimes when the property owner cooperates, we are able to work on the report within maximum 72 hours. The report is ready.
But sorry, not to cut you. By cooperating, how do you mean?
Yes, cooperate in terms of providing us with the requisite information. Sometimes, most often than not, because they call us very late. By the time we get there, a lot of things would have been destroyed. So in investigating, we do what we call scene reconstruction. How was the place like before the fire outbreak? So we need the...
Hello, DO2 Aka.
Responsible.
Hello,
please, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I think we lost you. You were talking about the reconstruction.
Okay, so I was saying that during investigation, we do what we call scene reconstruction. we need to understand how the place looked like before the fire outbreak so that we can know how the fire started and how it traveled. So we need a cooperation of the facility manager or the property owner to help us with that kind of information. And then two, we also need to gather eyewitnesses' account. And most often than not, it is the property owner or the facility manager or the responsible person who may be there at the time of the fire outbreak. And therefore, we will need the person's account to help us in our investigations. So when we are finding it very difficult to get all these important information, it delays our investigation. Number three, we also need to gather as much as evidence, physical evidence, exhibits on the premises.
Okay.
And sometimes you will go, the facility manager has cleared up the place. Sometimes the fire will occur, they would extinguish it by themselves, come and tell you a day or two or even some weeks later. When you get to a facility like that, you will need to be able to see for yourself that evidence have not been tampered with. So if evidence have been tampered with, then it means that automatically it is going to make unraveling the cause of the fire very, very difficult. So sometimes too, because people deliberately set these fires, but they will pretend as if they don't know whatever happened. So if they are also failing to tell you the truth, it means that it will be very difficult for you to also get to the bottom of the fire. And these are some of the reasons that tend to delay the fire report. And then one other thing too is that once the fire report, let's say all things being equal, we have gotten the information that we needed, evidence is not tempered and everything, the facility manager or the owner of the property would have to pay a fee to get the fire report released. So sometimes the report will be ready, but the facility manager will not be willing to come and pay the fee. Therefore, he will not get it.
I didn't quite get it. Did you say how much is it typically?
The fee?
Yeah.
Oh, the fee, government fee, is not that expensive. I think it's about 120 per report. So anyone requesting for a report, once you pay that money and the report is ready, it is released to you. And then it helps you to also go. And if the property is insured, then you also go and file for your claims. And sometimes too, one thing that I forgot is that if the property is insured, for them to even get us the details of their insurance policy, so as for us to be able to authenticate and even include those details to facilitate the work of the insurance company, that becomes a challenge. The facility manager will not even know where the policy document is to even bring us those details. So these are some of the things that delay the fire report. So once all the requisite information, the evidence that we need on the ground, and what have been provided, it helps us to be able to deliver the report within the shortest possible time.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay. So let me come back to Danny. So Danny, have you had like instances like what DO2 is talking about?
Yes, we have instances where fire reports delay, and as he rightfully said, maybe the business owner is refusing to cooperate or has different motive, or they don't have the time to cooperate with them to make sure the fire reports are generated on time. But for us as insurance companies, especially within the informal and SME space, I'm looking at the small business owners, like the shops at Cantamanto, the cosmetic shop within the area, the pharmacy, and all of that. These shops, the values in there are not usually on the high side. So beyond the fire report, we try to request for other documents that can still prove the loss. So aside the videos, photos, you have to provide receipts and proof of the asset, proof of ownership of the asset, and inventory records. So once you're able to provide these, and we also come physically to do our investigation, we are able to process your claim on time despite not receiving the fire report.
But that's also a lot of work because I mean, some people don't quite keep some of these receipts and all of that, so it becomes a lot for them.
Yes, that has been a challenge, but at the time of purchasing the insurance, it is a responsibility of the insurance company or the insurance broker to make sure that they are getting the right inventory or the right sum insured to be given to the insurance companies, because we wouldn't want an event of fire and then we would have to now be going back and forth, which would create that misconception that insurance doesn't want to pay claims. That's why they are delaying my claim. Business owner, if you are purchasing any fire policy for your stock, your goods, you need to make sure that you are submitting the right inventory or the right amount of stock you have or you have to run your shop to the insurance companies. So that in the event of an incident, the insurance company have a fair idea of what they are supposed to pay. So beyond the fire report, we can still, find legitimate ways to pay your claim.
Okay. I see. Right. So maybe what should business owners look out for when they are signing a policy, an insurance policy, fire insurance policy?
So when you're signing a fire insurance policy, the first thing you'd have to do, you need to seek advice. So you need to speak to either an insurance broker or walk directly into the insurance company, and they would give you a proposal form to complete. And usually this proposal form will entail your business description, what you are into, where you are located at, the kind of items you want to insure. So it gives the insurance companies more details to enable them price or accept the risks that you are bringing to them. So as a business owner, you need to speak to the right person. Don't just, go in and buy any kind of insurance. Know the risks that you're exposed to. And some business owners are not even aware of other risks that they are exposed to aside the fire or burglary. Because if the insurance companies come in and then they get to understand your business operation, they can even recommend other insurance policies to you. So let me give you a typical example. So let's say the malls that we have at China Mall, where they want to take fire insurance. They have employees who are also guiding customers to purchase products or move goods around. They take monies from customers and all of that. Insurance companies can even recommend a policy that we call fidelity guarantee. This policy seeks to protect the employers, that's the business owners, against any act of theft or dishonest act on the part of the employee. So you may think that, you need just fire, but once you talk to an insurance expert or your broker, you'll be able to have more policies to cover other risks that you may not have paid attention to.
I see. Okay. Danny, hold on for me. Let me come back to DO2 Aka. DO2 Aka, are you still with us, please? Hello?
Yes, please, I'm with you.
All right, great. So, permit me to take you back a bit. We were talking about the prevention, and then the network, went off, and we had to go and talk about the insurance. Now, let me come back to you. Now, from your initial submissions, you mentioned the issue of compliance. I want to know how you monitor compliance. Are there penalties for businesses that fail to meet the basic fire safety standards you were talking about a while ago?
Well, so there is LI 1724, which mandates that business owners acquire fire certificates. And by acquiring fire certificates, it requires the business owner to put in place adequate safety measures, at least to meet the minimum fire cover. So the business owner is mandated to install adequate firefighting means. So by firefighting means, we are talking about, depending on the nature of the facility and the use of the facility, you are required to put in place fire extinguishers, get some hose reels. If it is a high-rise structure, you get some risers, sprinklers, and then some alternative water aside a fire hydrant. So maybe in the absence of a fire hydrant, there could be a mechanized borehole with a booster pump fitted to provide water for firefighting. So that is one aspect of the whole thing. Then you are also required to put in place means of escape, adequate means of escape. So by means of escape, we are looking at creating enough escape routes. You are also to create enough exits or adequate exits that could help to facilitate quick and safe evacuation of people during fire and related emergency. And then also you are required to also put in place adequate early detection and warning systems, such as smoke alarms, call points, sounders, even emergency lights, to talk about a few. So these things will detect the fire as quickly as possible when the fire has just started, and then alert you. So probably if you have a CCTV installation at your end, and you are monitoring every space within your facility, and a fire erupts in one of the rooms or one of the corners of the facility, because you have the CCTV camera, it helps pick the signals for you to activate what we call emergency evacuation procedure. So in activating that, it helps you to also manage the fire at its nascent stage, at its initial stage, where the fire has not gotten out of hand, with the fire extinguishers, maybe the water that you have on your facility, hose reels, and what have you, just to be able to contain the fire situation. So these are the basic things that we require property owners to have before we give them the certificate. Aside these three things that I've mentioned: adequate means of escape, adequate early detection and warning system, and then adequate firefighting means, which encompasses the fire extinguishers, alternative water, whether it's a pool or whatever, with an overhead tank, with an installed booster pump by it, just to supply it with water. You are supposed to also put in place a mechanism or a system which would ensure there is proper electrical installation, because, as I said, most of these fires are caused as a result of what? Electrical
faults, right.
So when your installations are done by certified, competent, qualified electricians, I think it goes a long way to help. And then once we have the emergency lighting also in place, what it means is that during the emergency evacuation procedure, during emergencies, probably the national grid or the main power source is off. Your emergency lights installed along the escape route should be able to facilitate or produce enough illumination along the escape route such that people will be able to escape with enough light safely without causing further injuries to anyone. And then also, if the escape routes are wide enough to admit more than 3 people, depending on the use or the nature of the facility, it helps to ensure that people escape and escape with ease and to the place of final safety. So once these things are enabled, it means that the place at least has met the minimum fire safety cover, and therefore they should be allowed to operate. But we should also not forget that safety is capital intensive.
Right.
And because it is also capital intensive, sometimes because of the nature of the project and then the benefit it seeks to bring, we allow the proponent to acquire the minimum. That is what I've mentioned, such that the other things that are also very capital intensive, such as installing, let's say, an underground water storage tank, purposely for firefighting, so that once you have the storage tank, you would have to get a booster pump and then also pipe it alongside every aspect of the building, such that if there's any fire in and around the structure, it is able to deal with it. Those ones, we give room for the facility manager to do them per certain timelines, such that, let's say year 1, you are able to do the underground tank. Maybe year 2, we allow you to do the overhead storage facility. Maybe year 3, you do the other installations, such that at a certain period, those installations must be completed to ensure that the facility is adequately protected against fire.
Right.
But in between those periods,
our time is quite limited, so I'd want you to maybe keep it a bit short so that we can touch on maybe some few things, then we can go. But specifically, I wanted to know how you monitor compliance and whether there are some penalties for the businesses that fail to meet those standards.
Well, so ideally, facilities that are not compliant, they are either closed down, they are given a limited time to do it, or their certificate is revoked. Once their certificate is revoked, it means that not until you are ready to do those measures that we've asked you to put in place, you are not allowed to come back to business. So these are the measures or the punitive measures that exist.
That are in place. But
sometimes when we find some inadequacy in a particular premises, we serve you with a notice to get the place adequately protected in terms of fire and cover. And then probably you are given a minimum period of 3 months, a maximum of 6 months to get those things or requirements done. Failure to do so, your place is closed, your certificate is revoked.
I see. Okay. Because of our time, maybe we would just skip some of the things I wanted us to talk about. Let me come back to you, Danny. Danny, are you still with us?
Yes, I am here.
All right. So in wrapping up, maybe if you can just give our listeners maybe some few key steps they can take to start their insurance journey, even on a small budget.
Okay. So for all business owners listening to us, startup companies, entrepreneurs, whether you own a studio with equipment, whether you own any shop at all in town, what I would advise you is to start small. So the basic insurance that you need for your business, it is fire and then burglary. So start with these policies. And as your business grow, you also grow your insurance cover. you take the bigger insurance, policies that we have, the comprehensive insurance covers for your assets, So insure your hustle today, because today's protection is your survival for tomorrow. And prevention saves lives. Protect employees. So imagine the fire outbreak at China Mall if they don't have insurance to put them back into the position in which they were. Employees will not have their daily bread. And I saw a video of a lady, crying that this is a source of livelihood to pay her rent and all of that. That is why you need the insurance, to ensure that you protect your employees' lives, you protect your business as well. So fire shouldn't be the reason your dreams end, because entrepreneurs, SMEs, business owners are the backbone of our economy. So let's prevent fire, let's prepare for it. With the right insurance cover, I believe you would sustain your business in the future. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Danny. Now, finally, DO2, what are the key things that, or maybe 3 key things that you think every listener should do today to reduce the risk of fire in their maybe business or even their home? Before we go,
so I would say that business owners and traders must be proactive and to be able to put in place adequate safety measures to safeguard their investments. Again, we should, as a regulator, be able to also intensify our efforts in trying to educate the traders and then business owners on the need to put in place adequate safety measures on their premises. Again, would also like MMDAs, that is the assemblies who own these commercial centers, to also provide escape routes, enough escape routes, fire lanes, and then layout in such a way that in case of any fire, it will facilitate the easy escape of people. And then also, if we are able to do a lot more fire safety audits, fire risk assessments in such facilities, and then the recommendations that we put in there are highly implemented by these MMDAs, it will help to reduce some of these the impact of these fires. And then by and large, when we are also able to collaborate with relevant institutions and then involve the traders in safeguarding their investment through some joint exercises, trainings, fire drills, and what have you, I believe that it goes a long way to kind of reduce these fires and then help kind of reduce the impact that these fires also bring. And then lastly, I believe that fire safety is a shared responsibility. And we want to appreciate you so much, even for the opportunity to engage in this conversation. I believe that once we engage more on some of these sensitive topics, it helps to create the needed awareness and people become more enlightened. And as a result, they are able to take the needed steps to safeguard their investment, put in place adequate protective measures on their premises to forestall some of these fires that are largely preventable.
All right, thank you very much, DO2. I'm really grateful that you made time this morning to speak to us. I'm sure we'll have further conversations because there's so much to talk about when it comes to some of these things. But because of our time, we have to wrap up now. But I'm really grateful that you made time to join me this morning.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And Danny, thank you very much too for making time. Your insights were very, very, very good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you too for having me.
Okay. I'm sure we'll speak again soon. All right. So that was Danny Anderson. Danny Anderson is an insurance professional, and he joined us this morning talking about the insurance perspective of the conversation we had this morning, and also DO2 Desmond Aka. He is the head of PR at the Ghana National Fire Service, and he also joined us for this conversation this morning. It's been a great conversation, and what I just want to say is that, I mean, fires may come unexpectedly, but our conversation today reminds us that we don't have to be caught off guard at all. We have to prevent it, and we can also protect ourselves ahead of time. And prevention starts with some simple things, basic disciplines that we have to put in place, like checking your wiring, keeping fire safety equipment handy, and following the right procedures. And even beyond that, protecting ourselves financially with an insurance could be the difference that, the difference between total loss and a second chance. And a big thank you to our guest, the DO2 Desmond Aka from the Ghana National Fire Service, and also Danny Anderson, an insurance expert, to join us this morning for that. Thanks so much. And thanks to you too for listening to us. Remember that safety isn't an event, it's a habit, and we have to do it constantly. So please stay alert, make sure that you are covered, make sure that you are hopeful, because when we prepare, even fire can't burn away our future. So that's how we wrap up today on the Business Breakfast on Z. My name is Nitra B. Hammond. We're back again tomorrow for, as always,